Welcome to Retire Right with Rick Durkee, presented exclusively by the Coastal Financial Planning Group here on News Radio 94.3 WSC. Rick Durkee is the retirement income planning and wealth distribution specialist in the Lowcountry. Are you ready to retire right? Here's your host this morning, Shane Griffin.
Good morning. Welcome in for another edition of Retire Right with Rick Durkee. I am your host, Shane Griffin. Each and every Saturday morning here at 9 o'clock, I have the privilege of sitting down with our local retirement income planning and wealth distribution specialist, Rick Durkee, to help you to retire right. Good morning, Rick. How are you, sir?
Hey, Shane, I'm just having a flashback on that song. REO Speedwagon.
Yeah.
1980.
Okay.
University of South Carolina, Columbia, and we're cranking that song down the hallway.
Wow.
Thinking about how we're going to get out of college and join the workforce, and now we are using the same song for Retire Right. That's pretty cool.
Growing up is the craziest thing that we all can do. You want to, after you become an adult, and real world sets in reality, then you go, you know what? Being 12 years old wasn't such a bad idea. Why couldn't I just stay there?
It wasn't so hard.
It wasn't as bad as I made it out to be. My parents weren't as bad as we made it out to be. But yes, obviously we are here and helping you to retire right. Before we jump into the topic today, which, by the way, is an important one, an interesting one, to say the least. We're going to be talking about important wealth-building lessons from multi-millionaires. I love doing research and looking at successful people and learning their habits and what they do that makes them successful. And I think it's the same thing in regards to how millionaires, multi-millionaires, high wealth folks, how they treat their money and what they do with their money. So we'll talk about that coming up here this morning. But first, a couple of reminders. First of all, Rick, your Social Security workshops you've got coming up at the end of the month, June 23rd, 24th, and 27th. A wonderful opportunity for folks to come in and learn some great information in regards to how to time and properly take Social Security benefits. There's really a lot of different things that you can learn and a lot of different things that you can do in regards to that workshop coming up, correct?
Shane, and it is important information because those multimillionaires that do come in off the radio programs and our seminars and college classes and whatnot to complete a three-step review, oftentimes are happy to learn that they made the right decision by delaying their Social Security benefits if possible because of the tax-favored payout of the Social Security benefits versus their IRA dollars and required minimum distributions that affect things in the future. So, you know, it doesn't matter if you are, 60 and looking at retirement income planning. If your assets that you plan on using for income in retirement are more than Social Security, then you need to come to the Social Security workshop. It's not just a matter of, well, I've got these Social Security benefits and I think that I'll be fine with or without them. It's about maximizing those benefits and minimizing taxes on those benefits. And that's what that workshop covers more than anything. And if it's one thing that a high net worth retiree wants to know, it's how can I reduce taxes on things, because that stops money from slipping through the cracks. And that's how they got where they were today, is building wealth based on sound financial decisions that minimize taxes, maximize their growth of their investments or their future income, and put together a sound retirement plan that's in their best interest for their retirement future.
You can learn more about the workshops at the website, cfpgroup.biz. While you're there, also be sure to check the archive of shows. Just search the podcast page there, and you'll find the programs with their titles. You can listen to past shows, Retire Right with Rick Durkee. You can also access those podcasts at 943wsc.com. Just search for the podcast page, and you'll be directed there. Let's jump to the topic, important wealth building lessons from multi-millionaires. Maggie McGrath wrote a fascinating article for Forbes back in May that spelled out the most important wealth-building lessons from multimillionaires. As we've done, Rick, on the program before, I believe it's insightful to look at successful people to see what we can learn from them. U.S. Trust, a private wealth management subsidiary of Bank of America, released in May its Insights on Wealth and Worth, its annual survey of 684 high-net-worth individuals. Those are folks who have $3 million or more in investable assets. Among the study's most striking conclusions, Rick, much of the 1%'s road to wealth was paved not with gold, but remarkably average upbringings and investment strategies. My question to you is, do you find this to be true of people that you meet with at the Coastal Financial Planning Group?
Well, certainly, Shane, commonalities of the group would include fundamentals. Mm-hmm. They follow fundamental reasoning and decision-making processes, strategies, beliefs without fail. That means that they have a vision. They are going to carry through with that vision, and they are not going to fail. They will reach the goal.
Right.
Now, they may not accomplish the goal in the steps or the time frame that they want to. However, they will not fail. They will accomplish the goal. Their ability to visualize and live the future before it happens is a commonality of this group that I've learned over the years of working with them. I would, also say that one thing that they definitely do is they possess perfect processes. They've developed these processes that have helped them to accomplish the goals that they have achieved. It could have been perhaps their own business strategies. It could have been sales strategies. It could have been investment strategies. But they continually try to perfect the process. They understand that perfection is often an impossible achievement. However, if you try again, you'll eventually reach the goal and the accomplishment that you are trying to achieve. So, that's what I would say the commonalities are. Now, another commonality amongst the high net worth people that I meet with is, although they've perfected these processes that have got them to where they are today, they also are very understanding of how important it is to model a system or a process that will take them from this point forward. They don't understand that process because they haven't been involved with it. They haven't put their mind and thoughts into retirement as much as they did building their wealth. So oftentimes they seek counsel. They want to organize the facts that they need to organize in order to make decisions that help them, again, accomplish their goals. So that's some of the things that I've noticed that are commonalities about the high net worth, the people that have saved $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, or $10 million. They have those commonalities in association with each other.
Do you find that these folks, these high net worth folks, can grasp the mentality of flipping that switch? We talked about this a few shows ago, where you go 20, 30, 40 years of accumulating the wealth, and then you have to flip the switch to distribution. Most folks just don't know how to do that, don't know what questions to ask, don't know which products to use. Do you find that high net worth folks are better at that or about the same?
It depends. If they were highly process driven, then some of them have gone through a research process on their own when they come in to see us to gather as many facts as they can. But they're very curious. They want to know, okay, what if this information that I have gathered is perhaps incomplete, perhaps doesn't have all the pieces of that puzzle that I need to accomplish the goal that I'm trying to accomplish. So they're very curious when they come in to find out what we know. Typically, what I find is it's in the area of tax planning that they're most interested in, income tax planning. How do I take these sources? How do I properly, as David Gaylor mentions on his show, America's Game Plan for Retirement. How do I properly income allocate or create that income allocation that's going to have those buckets of money pouring streams of money to me at different times in my life? And how am I going to do the effective tax planning so that I'm minimizing taxes on that money? Maybe it's even, a small amount of $1,000 a year that's saved in income taxes, $1,000 a year over a 20, 30, 40-year span of retirement is significant assets, and most high net worth people are not going to walk away without knowing that information and trying to find out what's in their benefit to learn how to put together an income plan that properly addresses income taxation.
Well, Rick, one important wealth-building lesson from Multi-Millionaires is keep your eyes on the road ahead. These successful investors are more forward-looking than most, aren't they?
Well, true, Shane. And again, perfection of that process got them to where they are today. So they want to look at areas where they're doing some tax-forward planning. An impressive 81% of wealthy investors say that they're prioritizing future goals over their current needs. The wealthy keep their eyes focused on funding long-term goals, including their financial security and lifestyle expectations in retirement. Legacy plans and next-generation wealth transfer is critical information to these people. They want to make sure that they're focusing over the hill on the road ahead. And it's that visionary technique that I mentioned before, Shane. And what I like to do is share a quick story with our listeners. A few weeks ago, I was out in California in Newport Beach for an annual summit of top retirement planners from across the country. We were meeting at PIMCO Investments there in Newport Beach, and among the information that we learned was that of a new index that PIMCO had developed that is a volatility index that is going to be able to measure some monthly volatility and also make some after-the-fact decisions based on volatility in the stock and bond markets. It's an actively managed index. It's something that's going to be available only in proprietary products to a company that owns PIMCO, that I won't mention any names. But anyway, opportunities for us to learn about. And one of the keynote speakers at that meeting, the last presenter, was a person that helped explain to me his visionary technique. Now, he isn't the wealthiest man I've ever met, but he is very wealthy as far as his experiences in life, and also is one of the people that can say that he climbed up to the summit of Mount Everest.
Wow.
He attempted to do this 3 times. Starting in 1991, he ended up with his group of people about a city block and a half short of hitting the summit before a storm came in and they had to turn around and go back. The next time that he attempted, they made it 900 feet. And the one person that he was with said that they had to turn around and go back, and he was the expedition leader, so he had to take that person back down the hill and make sure that they made it all the way down. On that third attempt in 2010, Jamie Clark did hit the summit. And I think the most interesting thing about his story was after he told his story and the conference ended, I was able to speak with him individually, one-on-one, for about an hour before he caught his plane to go home. And no one else was around. I'd seen the movie Everest, so I was kind of in tune with that kind of that power that you must feel to be able to pull yourself up 29,000 feet above sea level.
Incredible.
29,000 feet is the peak,
is
the peak of the summit of Mount Everest. And I asked him, I said, what did you do on that night before you climbed up to the top? And if anybody out there has seen the movie Mount Everest, you'll remember the scene where they're in their tents and it's just windy as can be, and they're trying to sleep, but they can't. And it's just windy and the tents are rattling, and you got to get up while it's dark to go up and try and hit that summit. And he told me, he said, Rick, he said, you lay as flat as you can. You're in your tent. You can't sleep. You're, trying to rejuvenate your body with as much energy as you possibly can for the feat ahead,
right,
which is going to start at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
And you're going to get up. And this guy just went through his visualization process with me, and I could tell that he knew he was going to do this. It started out when he actually shared with us in the conference that he was 13 years old and determined to do this.
Wow.
So I share that with you because that's another commonality that high net worth people and visionaries have. They have the ability to live like it's already here now.
Yeah.
Okay. That there's a parallel universe. I've already accomplished this.
I've already been there.
I've already accomplished this,
Right.
and this is just a matter of fact that I'm going to do it.
Right.
Anyway.
That's an interesting story. For additional information on the topics we are discussing this morning, 843-735-5065, 843-735-5065. We are discussing an article found at Forbes.com, Important Wealth Building Lessons from Multi-Millionaires. Another important lesson is it's okay, good even, to have a vanilla investment plan.
Well, forget about those stories you've heard about being one of those few investors who saw the promise of the big startup before it was achieved, okay? The vast majority of high net worth investors stick to the slow, steady growth plan, okay? They're not trying to hit the cover off the ball. The turtle and the tortoise and the hare story, yes. Close to 90%, in fact, Shane, have made the bulk of their investment in the stock and bond markets, but it was probably with more of that just continual investment, continue to put the money in.
The beauty of compound interest.
Yep. Start early, okay? And despite perceptions that the greatest gains come from taking big personal risks, majority of high net worth investors have grown their investments over time through a series of smaller wins in the market, okay, versus taking big chances. They offer proof that the rich are not inherently more prone to risk than the rest of us. And investors typically in this group say it's more important to reduce their risk, even if it means lower returns.
Interesting.
So they're just, again, that slow, steady growth. Most high net worth, you got to ask the question, why do they believe that it's more important to reduce their risk, even if it means lower returns? Because they know in today's markets that downside risk management wins in the long run. Okay, if we can avoid the valleys, okay, a majority of the valleys, then we'll start
go for the peaks like on Mount Everest.
That's right. We can climb for the summit a lot faster if we didn't go all the way down. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. So, that's just part of the reality of what people look at when they're looking at a realistic plan for achieving their accumulation goals, and then also having the proper process to achieve proper distribution goals also.
Really painting a picture of what are important wealth building lessons from multi-millionaires. And another lesson learned, be mindful of taxes. Now, this is something you and I don't talk about enough, but boy, can really erode away someone's retirement nest egg.
Well, Shane, I hit the nail on the head then just a minute ago when I said that high net worth people can't stand finding out that they lost money in unnecessary taxes paid to Uncle Sam.
Yep.
High net worth investors are keenly aware of taxes, which, while that's not too surprising, is nonetheless a state of mind that we should all look at. Okay? Paying attention, making sure money is not slipping through the cracks, because it's more important to minimize the impact of taxes when making investment decisions than it is to pursue the highest possible returns, regardless of the tax consequences. So I'd like to share a quick income planning and tax planning opportunity that should be looked at for high net worth people. If you're that listener out there right now that has that IRA and you've determined that, it's best that you just put it off until your required minimum distributions, and you're married and you're filing a joint tax return and it's 25%, 38%, whatever the tax bracket you are on your federal return, I want to ask you a simple question. What happens to that required minimum distribution, and what happens to your tax rate when you die? Okay, now some people are saying, well, nothing happens to it. I'm dead. Well, how about your surviving spouse? She now files single tax filer. She now inherits your Social Security benefits if you are the higher wage earner.
Right.
Okay. She now still takes your required minimum distribution that might be based on an age that's very similar to what yours was because you were married both at the same time.
Right.
And now her tax bracket shoots up from 15 to 25 or 25 to 38
Right.
as a single filer. And so what if we would have taken some time to sit down with a firm that likes to look at ideas like this and tax forward planning and legacy planning? And what if we would have devised a strategy to roll out of that IRA sooner when the taxes were actually lower and you thought they might be higher?
Right.
So this is information that high net worth people love to find out, love to come in, sit down with us for our discovery process, our 3-step review, and see how we can avoid some additional money slipping through the cracks while you're young in retirement. Do some tax forward planning that will be very effective for you or your survivors when you're in the later parts of retirement.
And for an opportunity for someone listening this morning that maybe we've touched a nerve or we've spoke about something over the past couple of weeks. For example, we talked about annuities a few weeks ago, talked about doing an annuity MRI. We've talked multiple times over the years about the exclusive 3-step review. For that person listening this morning that says, you know what, I've been listening to Rick for a long time, I'm ready to take that next step. Walk us through what that 3-step review looks like and why it's so important to kind of get the ball rolling for someone.
Well, Shane, I find that in most circumstances there's a unfortunate disconnect between the estate planning attorney or tax attorney, the CPA, again, or tax attorney, and the financial planning firm or financial advisory firm. And what the disconnect is everybody's not on the same page as far as looking forward into the future. The financial planner may know of these tax problems that will occur in the future. However, when the person, be it a high net worth person or not, went and filed their tax return themselves or used a CPA, they didn't pay that CPA an extra fee for tax forward planning. They paid him a fee to do the tax return. So I always ask this question to anyone that I meet with. Last year when you collected your tax return, did you pay your CPA a extra fee for tax forward planning? And if you did and you did it right, you should have done it during the year way before April. And when you go in to pick up your tax return and pay him his fee for doing the tax return, you should have done it in the second, third, or fourth quarter of the year prior so that you can avoid taxes in that particular tax year, but also do the long-term tax forward planning. The disconnect here, Shane, happens between those advisory firms. There's not a true circle of I guess circle of friends, as Robert De Niro would say.
Circle of trust.
Circle of trust.
Yes.
There you go, as Robert De Niro would say. But the disconnect happens, and then money slips through the cracks. So the 3-step review will look at those areas, make sure that everyone's connected, make sure we're making decisions based on proper tax advice, proper income and distribution advice, and then thirdly, proper risk advice. And it's about an hour and 15 minutes in a first meeting. It's short, and then a decision is made. Do we want to continue on with the Coastal Financial Planning Group and let a certified financial planner review these documents that you leave with us and do some analysis of risk and income planning and whatnot, and engage our services. And if you determine that that's in your best interest to do that, we go through a discovery process that may take an additional 2, 3, 4 or more meetings that the 3-step review will continue on in. And look forward to the call today where that high net worth person said, "Hey, you hit the nail on the head there, Rick. I hadn't thought about that. I think that I need to do some planning with that RMD. I need to do maybe some income planning with it, or do some consideration of Roth rollout strategies." We're here, folks. 735-5065. The best thing to do is call us today. Schedule a 3-step review for the near future. We'll send out an email and we'll explain what you need to bring in for information so we can accomplish the most we can in an hour and 15 to an hour and a half. And then we'll decide where we go from there.
843-735-5065, the number to call to set up the exclusive 3-step review. A reminder about the Social Security workshops on June 23rd, 24th, and 27th. cfpgroup.biz, cfpgroup.biz for more information there. Rick, always great to see you, sir, and we'll see you back here next Saturday.
Certainly had a great time talking about the important wealth-building lessons from Multi-Millionaires. I encourage you to call us today. We'll send you out an invitation for that Social Security workshop, 843-735-5065. Join us next Saturday morning at 9 for another half hour of Retire Right with Rick Durkee.